gaming in the early 2000s was a whole vibe. Booting up the old PC, hearing that familiar Windows XP chime, or firing up a PS2 or Xbox was like stepping into another world. LAN parties were pure chaos. Hauling your rig to a friend's house, untangling those cables, and yelling at each other in a haze of energy drinks and Counter-Strike matches. Consoles had their own magic, sinking hours into GTA Vice City or split-screen duels in Halo with your crew. No tutorials, no microtransactions, just you, a cheat code or two from game FAQs, and pure fun. The games, the trash talk, the memories. It was all simpler, more raw. But it seems like since then, those games have kind of gone to the wayside. Now we're in a nightmare of microtransactions and half-baked games that get finished 2 years after release. And then comes Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, and it absolutely blew my socks off, guys. Alright, so I have never played a Warhammer game in my life. I have no clue of the lore, guys, so this is coming from a bit of a Warhammer virgin. So, but here's my take on it, and I want to give you my review of what the game is, and maybe the fact that I've never played Warhammer will actually be of some benefit to me in enjoying the overall experiences. I'm not going into it with any ill-conceived notions of what it should be. I'm just going into it to enjoy it purely raw for itself. Alright, guys, so I had to watch a YouTube recap of what happened in the first Space Marines to kind of give me an idea. And yeah, the story uses big words like Era Indomitus or the Dark Imperium, but I didn't find that too complicated to understand. I mean, you get the gist of what they're talking about. The game's main enemies are the Tyranids, where the last time it was the Orcs. And after the events of the first game, Captain Titus of the Ultramarine chapter was imprisoned by Inquisitor Thrax, and it just kind of picks up from there. Guys, the gameplay, it's a mix of melee combos and third-person shooting and execution moves. To build back up your armor and your health, I found it kind of interesting. You have to kind of make these combos, chain together, and it helps build up your armor, or if you do executions, it'll help build your health back up, because you have two separate health bars, actually, and they work independent of each other, obviously. Now, the levels are pretty linear. I didn't find there were too many branching paths, although there are some areas you can go off into and explore, kind of, and find, typical video game stuff like data pads that you can listen to, just world-building lore stuff that you can find, or maybe you find, like, just, extra ammo or stuff like that. So, going off the beaten path doesn't really reward you too much, but there are things to go and find. So, don't be afraid to kind of venture off the beaten path. This game has really cool big set-piece moments. It's really awesome. It just, again, man, this game is just reminding me of an earlier time in gaming, and I'm really getting, like, the Gears of War vibe from this. If you've played those, like the first Gears of War or even the second one, this just really brings me into that world, but in the Warhammer skin on top of it. But, like, it's almost like I'm back playing Gears again. Even the movements, like the rolling and stuff, the chainsaw sword, just, doing an execution where you just chainsaw into someone, man, it just screams early 2000s. Swarms are another thing that take place in the game, guys. These massive Tyranid swarms will just come up out of the ground or come swarming over a cliff, and they just look stellar in the game. And the game has a good mixed bag of where it takes the direction of what you're doing. So there's action segments, and then it'll be a horror segment, and then switch over to stealth, and then back to action. So you're never really quite sure what's lying in wait around the next corridor. And so far, I have seen no bugs or microtransactions as of yet, guys. So that's always a rare treat in today's gaming landscape. And the swarms, guys, that I was talking about before actually bring me to my next point, which is graphics. this game is made by the people who made World War Z, so it's running on the World War Z engine. So to create these massive swarms on screen at once is so cool again to see, guys, and it runs smooth at I've been running it at smooth at 60 frames per second with some dips into the 40s and 50s at times. All in all, guys, it's not a great game. It's not gonna blow your mind with graphics. The faces look stiff and they can be a little dated. Some of the textures look a little rough around the edges, but the environments can look good and the lighting is passable. It's not the best looking game, but I feel like the game mechanics make up for its graphics. Moving on over to sound, guys. Great on a surround sound system. If you have a sound bar with the surround sound, definitely crank it up. It sounds amazing. The guns sound awesome. They sound varied from each other, which I really like. So not every gun just has the same clunk, clunk, clunk to it. Well-placed audio cues for headshots and low-on-ammo audio cues. And what I mean by that, guys, is you can tell when the gun's about to go run dry on ammo by this click, 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 click sound. Again, Gears of War did that. Several other third-person shooters have done that in the past. And that satisfying, just sick, wet, gross headshot sound you get when you pull off a headshot. Even if you don't actually see it, you just know from the audio cue that you got it. Ambience can be a bit hit or miss. Some of the open world environments, whether that be the jungles or some of the other levels, they did just seem a bit like mute or dead. Not a whole lot going on in the environment, but the interior atmospheres, the ambient sounds, the groaning of metal, the hissing of pipes, that all sounded really good. Music is okay. It does a good job conveying the action you're seeing on screen, but you can tell it wasn't this big budget orchestra or anything like that. And the voice acting was superbly done, especially, I don't know the guy's name, but a shout out to the guy who did the Scottish accent. He's not actually Scottish, so did a really good job there, especially since a Scottish accent is one of actually the hardest to mimic. Multiplayer, again, I keep saying Gears of War, but it really took me back to that. It felt easy to get into. It was quick to learn. The guns felt familiar, well, different. All the classes felt like they didn't. It was like rock, paper, scissors. You know, they had their strengths and weaknesses. No pay to win either, guys, and felt good, like the good old days of just gaming, where there wasn't any pay to win mechanics. It was just jump in, play a multiplayer game, shoot some people on a small map that was easy to memorize, and just have fun and jump back out. And actually, the campaign did a really good job, you know, getting you kind of carried over into the multiplayer, and then these operations that you can do also, which are the co-op missions, which are actually these segments of the game where other units have split off from you, so it's a telling from their perspective. So overall, guys, I mean, Warhammer 40K, Space Marines 2, it's bangers. I highly recommend you go buy this. If you like just an old school gaming experience, if you're just looking for something simple with a good storyline, good lore, I highly recommend going and checking this out, guys. So again, Warhammer 40K, Space Marines 2. You can grab it on all the major consoles and on PC. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope by the end of this video I have earned your subscription if I haven't already. Make sure you hit that like button, guys. That always helps me out. Or hit the dislike button. I don't really care. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.